Hey potheads. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a bowl kind of like this. So I'm going to start off with 2 pounds and work all the way up to 5 and show you the difference. All right, so we're going to get our bat and place it in there as always. Clean up our bat. I also like to have my little bowl here to the side so that I can put all the chunks of clay that I get when I'm throwing in there, and that way I don't waste any clay at all. Okay, so we've got our 2-pounder and we slapped her on the side so that it's a nice ball. Let's find the spot that we want. I don't like to put it on where it has any bubbles or marks or anything like that, so I try and find the smoothest place and then get it a little roll around and slap it right on there. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of how I'm going to center this piece, and if you need more tips and tricks on how to center, just check out my last video and I'll teach you everything. Okay, and as always, just get started with our sponge in our hand. Now that we're here and pretty much centered, I'm going to cone up. And then I'm going to clean all this up, gets in the way. And here's where our bowl comes in handy. I can just clean up my hands and put it right in that bowl. Get our sponge again and send it right back down. And our goal right now is to get all the air bubbles out. All right, now that she's centered, and I don't want the base to be too much wider, so I'm going to stay there. Now I'm going to slow down the wheel just a little bit, get some water on there. I like to put my backhand right against it so that I know what I'm doing. I'm not all over the place. Go straight in the middle. Not too far down, we want a good base. Get some more water. Pull back straight towards our hand. And then now for this first pull, I just pull right against my backhand. And then we've got our first little pull there. And then I just compress the base and I move my fingers from the inside right in the middle all the way to the outside. From this point, I'm going to bend all the way over to the side so I can see, and I'm going to turn on my little light here. Get our water on there with our sponge, and I like to press the sponge on there. That way it doesn't dry out too fast. And I'm slowing the wheel down just a little bit so that I can know to slow my hands down. And I'm kind of going for more of a serving dish. So let's get that shape going. So when I'm pulling on the walls, generally I pull just straight up, and that will get the walls to go up. But if we want the walls to go outwards, we're going to put our inside hand on the bottom part and then our top hand on the upper part of our finger. So it'll look kind of like this, and you'll shape it up like that. Whenever you make a pull on the wall, right afterwards, you always want to compress on the lip. And simply by doing that, you're just pressing your fingers together as you press your top one down, and it just kind of compresses it all together. So now let's go all the way over to the side again and get to our base. I also like to connect my hands together almost always. So you'll see me try and connect my thumb to my hand, and my arms are connected to my body and not all the way out. And this way I have more stability pretty much always. So let's go all the way over to the side, right down to the base. So I try and get my walls to be all the same thickness before I shape it. The walls right now are pretty much the same all throughout. So let's get our little blue tool here, and I use Mud Tools, and it's just a little rib. It's called a plastic rib. I press the flat part against the outside, and I press it against my fingers. And it's the same way as we do when we pull up with our fingers. Let's get the outside wet. The water acts as like a lubricant. So when it's not wet, it's kind of hard to pull your fingers through it. Go down to the base. And at this point, I'm just trying to belly out the bowl so that it has a nice wide belly. And then it's going to have a curved over lip so that it's easy to pick up. I'm also going to compress the base with my Mud Tools, and I'm going to use both of my hands. Oh, little Roadrunner just passed by. Okay, so I'm going to use both my hands and press in like this and go right in. And again, I have my thumb connected, my arms in, and just going right over it. pressing slightly, just enough to where the base is real even and flat. And this will help prevent from S-cracks happening as well. So we're not done yet. I still can see and feel a good amount of clay down at the base. So we're going to slow our wheel down, get some more water in there, and get all that clay moving. Okay, and so I like to stop about here. That way I can flip the lip over without having to send it back in. So I'll just push my finger in and let the clay fold over it. And then you can see that I'm looking way over, and that's so that I can see. I also have a mirror behind me so that I can fully see how it looks. Because when I'm looking right on it, it has a totally different perspective than on the side. So it helps to get different views of it to see how it actually looks. So I'm going to try and belly out right about in here just a little bit more. Okay, and now we're done. So I'm going to just clean it off. So I'm compressing the lip. I'm going to use my sponge and just go right in there, going right on the walls and getting all that water off. And when it's too wet down at the base, that's also what causes S-cracks. Now from here, I just get my cutoff wire. I just like to use fishing line because it's cheap and easy and it's so thin. So it makes for the perfect cutting line. I wrap it around my fingers, press it on the bat, and just pull straight back. And then now we are done. I get to take off the bat and then work on another one. Okay, so now that we have our 3-pounder centered, I'm going to just get started. We're going to go right in the middle, not too far down, and pull straight back. And then for this first pull, I'm going to pull pretty much straight up, a little bit out. So that's what we're going for, is our bowl. Get some water and let's compress the base. So starting from the middle, just working out, pressing lightly, getting any bubbles if there are any. Okay, so now that we're here, we're going to bend all the way over again. Come on the outside and slow our wheel down and just pull up. And I'm just pinching my fingers together as I guide the clay upwards. Keep on pulling because there's still a good amount of clay. We want our walls to be the same thickness before we start. And I am going to kind of start to shape it since it's a little bit bigger. We don't want it to get too thin. And always, always, always compress the lip after. So if I can tell that the water isn't going down the walls, then that means I need to slow down my wheel so that the water can have a chance to fall down on the sides. When it's going fast, it just tends to fling straight off, and we don't want that. So now we'll go down to the base again, kind of slow on our wheel, and depending on how fast our wheel is going, that should determine how fast we pull up on the walls. And I have a really bad habit of pulling way too fast, especially on these big pieces. So I always have to remind myself to just go slow and trust the process. All right, so now that we're here and I can feel that the walls are pretty much even and not too thin, I'm ready to start to shape. I'm just out to the base again, and I like to curl the foot under and then just slowly bring it up. I know we can see this slight wobble, and it's totally fine. I used to freak out when I saw even the slightest wobble, but it really doesn't change anything. As long as it's not like all over the place, your piece will be just fine. And with one good pull, it should fix it anyways. You don't really see it wobble right now, so just 1 or 2 good pulls can really change it. So I'm going to switch to my big one because it is getting pretty big. All right, here's our 3-pounder. Let's see what our 4-pounder looks like. So for this first pull, pull against our hand, push it against our inside hand, and just guide it upwards. If you notice, I like to rest my elbow onto my leg or onto the splash pan so that when I am pulling up, I'm not having a lot of options to go anywhere else. I'm just real stuck right in there. So now we're gonna get our rib tool, and this time I'm gonna start right away with my green one because I know that it's gonna be pretty big. Push on the bottom underneath and then start to guide your inside hand up the rib. And let it start to form the bowl. I'm going to slow the wheel down. So I have my blue rib this time. And we're going to go from the base. So now we have our 5-pound baby, and let's just dive right in. Find the middle, go straight down, not too far. Pull straight back towards our hand, our outside hand. Okay, at this point, I'm going to get my blue tool. And now I need a lot of my base to go down, so I'm gonna go on the outside this time. I'm just gonna place my hand straight on the outside of my bowl, and then the tool is gonna go right on the inside, and this just helps me press all that out while being super even and delicate. That's not good. It's too soft. She might be okay. Whew. That was a close call, but I think we got her back, and that's why you don't give up. Our cutoff wire, place it on the bat, pull straight back, and it's done.